The Milepost Zero update is fast approaching, and with it comes a megaton of changes. And I don't know about you guys, but I like to be prepared, and there are a ton of things and factors that need to be considered if you're trying to prepare for September 3rd. This video will be covering 18 different things you should be aware of before Milepost Zero hits. Milepost Zero is set to release on Tuesday, September the 3rd, and with it, a bunch of updates including outposts, or caravans as some players are calling it, and legendary crafting will hit. Now, this is going to go over items you might want to start farming for, things you might want to complete or do prior to the new season starting, and so much more. I will be building up to some of the bigger stuff in this video because otherwise a lot of this probably won't make sense to you guys. We will be covering weapons changes, and if you're farming for weapons currently, this might change what you're actually looking for. We'll go over crafting legendary mods and resources needed so you can start collecting today, and so much more. There will be chapters if you feel the need to skip ahead. Everyone should be aware by now that legendary crafting is getting completely overhauled. But just in case, the gist of it is that we will now be able to scrap legendary armor and weapons to try to learn the mods or get boxed mods. By the way, I got most of this information off the Datamine Discord and from my own experiences playing the PTS. So thank you to the Datamine Discord and to all the data miners for all your hard work. The link to the Discord will be in the description below. Also, any of this is subject to change. If it does, I will be updating you guys. Now let's get started. Number 1. Several perk cards are going to be changing, so you might want to start investing in them now. The perk cards in question are Vaccinated, which will now increase disease resistance from all sources based on your endurance stats. Thirst Quencher is the second one. Increase action points while not diseased based on your endurance stat. Iron Stomach increases damage reduction while not diseased, and it's also based on your endurance stat. And then the last one is Natural Resistance. Increases your energy, fire, and cryo and poison resistances while not diseased, based on your endurance stat. Number 2, Scrip is being increased to 11,000, and this is going to be very important. Number 3, legendary cores are obsolete, and currently they are set to turn to Scrip at a 1-to-1 ratio. This means you'll need to know how many cores you have, and if you have max Scrip, make sure you won't be over the max Scrip on the 3rd. So spend your Scrip accordingly. So right now, if you have 5,000 Scrip and you have 6,000 cores, you're going to be right there at that max of 11,000. So make sure that you're aware of all this. Number 4, let's go over how important legendary modules are going to actually be. So legendary modules are going to be super important moving forward, and I'm going to get into exactly why. You also need to be aware that you're going to need other items besides just modules if you're trying to craft legendary mods. So that means if you're trying to, you learn the plan by scrapping a legendary weapon, you've learned the quad plan, and you want to make it, you're going to need to know exactly what you're going to need to actually craft that. So let's get into a couple of these things, because this is where things get tedious and confusing, and I know it's going to be difficult for some players. It's already slightly difficult for me, and I'm trying to explain it. Now, every time you go to roll a piece of armor or roll a weapon and it's going to be legendary, you're going to want it to be 3-star. I'm going to get into that in a little bit, but you're going to want it to be a 3-star item, and that's going to cost you 15 legendary modules just to do that. Now, not only will you need legendary modules to roll new 3-star legendary items, you're also going to need it to actually craft legendary mods. So if you get lucky enough to actually learn a plan for one of these legendary mods, from breaking down a 3-star piece of armor or a weapon, then you're going to need modules to actually craft these mods. And you're also going to need a lot of other stuff as well, depending on what you're trying to craft. But let's get into the module side of things, and then I'm going to get into the other stuff. This part is going to take a little bit longer. So if this is something you already know or you're not interested in, make sure you go ahead and fast forward through it, because I'm going to be going over a lot of weird stuff. So I just want you guys to kind of hang tight with me. So if you are lucky enough to learn some of these legendary mods, if you are trying to make a 1-star legendary mod, you're going to need 15 modules for a 1-star mod. Now, if you are going to be making a 2-star mod, which would be like faster fire rate or 50 crit or something along those lines, then that will be a 30 module cost. So you'll need 30 modules for that. And a 3rd-star will cost you 60 modules. So just a reminder, so Bethesda just announced today that they're going to be releasing 4-star legendaries in December when they do that update with the raids. Now, with that being in mind, we have no idea how those things are going to work. So you may want to wait before you start blowing through and burning through all of those modules, because you may need more than that if you have a 4-star. So unless it's something you feel like you absolutely can't live without, that might be something that you just keep in mind for the future. Okay, so now that's all out of the way, let's get back into the legendary mods. So for armor, like you can see right here, I'll list this in the description below so that way you can have this for your reference, because it's very nice to have. I did go through and kind of do all of these, so I might put out a separate video if you guys want, so that we can see every single one of these, because like gluttony, like I know what that means, but like some of these I'm like, I have no idea what that's even supposed to mean. So like when you look at them, they've renamed them, so it's kind of confusing, and they don't have it here. I was wondering if they were going to plan on doing something along those lines, but they did not. So I did go through and do a video going through all of those, so that way we can see them on the PTS. Like it says this one does this and is now called this, so that way we know the differences between them. So if you need that, let me know in the comments below and I will do a video just for you guys. All right, so first and foremost, you're going to start to need bobbleheads for some of the stuff. And there's some other weird things that you're going to need. So let's just go through some of this so that way you can see this. So this is for armor mods, okay? Aristocrats, you're going to need a cap bobblehead. Assassins will need liquid courage. Now, liquid courage can be made. You can get the plan from Daily Ops, and this is the item that you use during Earl or against the Blue Devil, so that way you don't run away screaming when they attack. They do that scream attack that they have. Now, some of the other ones that are kind of weird is that you're going to need serums. Like Chameleon, you'll need Chameleon Serum. Now, if you don't know how to make serums, you may want to go ahead and join the Enclave, so that way you'll have access to buy those serum plans. All right, so let's continue on. Cloaking is going to need a stealth boy if you guys want to know some locations for that. I have a video going over bobblehead locations, and it has 2 or 3 stealth boy locations as well. It's all in the same video. I can't remember if there's like 5 or 7 or 8 bobbleheads in the one video that I have, but every single one of the bobblehead locations is marked. So I will link that video right here in the top right, and it'll also be in the description below. A ton of magazines as well. Getting back to this. Exterminators, you'll need a blood bug proboscis and stingwing barb. You'll need rad shield for ghoul slayers, Yao-Ga hive for hunters, perfect bubblegum for overeaters. Now, you're supposed to be able to buy that from, I think Samuel sells perfect bubblegum over in Crater for gold bullion. Mutants will need asbestos. That'll be easy to get. A super mutant head. Now, some players are saying, I didn't even know super mutant heads were in the game, or I saw them and I have no idea where to get them. I'm going to show you here at the end of the video exactly where you need to go to get the super mutant head. So if that's something that you're interested in, just make sure to fast forward to the end of the video so that way you can see it, okay? You'll need 10 nuclear material for Nocturnal, healing factor serum, circuits, and then X.E.L. So X.E.L is one of those chems that you cannot make, so you might want to be on the lookout for X.E.L, like some cheap X.E.L, or if you see it laying around the world. Now, there is a vendor that sells it. If that's something that you need to know, let me know, and maybe I can make a video going over the locations for everything. Bird bone serum for weightless, disease cure for antiseptic, more perfect bubblegum for gluttony, explosive bobblehead for hardy. You'll need the floater gnasher pus sacks and freezer sacks for poisoners and warming. Strength bobblehead for strength, perception, endurance, charisma, and intelligence. So those specials, you'll need the special bobblehead to go along with it. You'll need marsupial serum for acrobats, twisted muscle for antimantium, a gun bobblehead for arms keeper, repair bobblehead for durability, electrically charged for electrified, marsupial for pack rats, lock picking for safecracker, secret agent, you'll need sneak bobblehead. And then getting into the weapons, you'll need caps again for aristocrats. The assassin still needs liquid courage, so none of that stuff has really changed. Adrenal serum for bloodied. Vegetarian ham for gourmands. Now, vegetarian ham is one of those things that's really hard to, you can't buy it and you can't make it. There's several of them that spawn down below where Moonshine Jamboree happens, down there in that cellar. So you can definitely go down there and loot that if you need that. So that might be something, if you see it out in the world, you might want to pick it up and put it into your vending machine or save it for a rainy day, because you might need it in the future, or somebody else might need it and you might want to give it to them, or you might want to sell it. Fury for Furious. Buff out is another one that you cannot make. So if you see these out in the world, make sure that you're picking them up. They will probably come in pretty handy. in the future. It's for juggernauts. You got to remember, all these things are going to get rebalanced as well, probably before the ghoul character comes out. Like, that's their plan, is to continue to rebalance. So something that might be super awesome today might not be that great, and something weird might be one of the best things in the game. So that's just something else to keep in mind. Medicine bobblehead for medics, and medics is one of those new ones that possibly is going to be off the chain. So one super mutant head again for mutant slayers. Fusion core for quad. That should be easy. Comex. I don't know if we can make Comex either, but that's for stalkers. Grounded serum for suppressors. Explosive bobblehead again for explosive. Speed demon for rapid. Berry mentats. An orange mentats will be needed for steady, and Vats enhanced. So the Vast enhanced will definitely be one. Most players can already make that, so that way they can grind their XP. Eagle Eye serum for vital. Repair bobblehead again for durability. Ghost, stealth boy. Luck bobblehead for lucky Vats bonus crit charge. So there's two different ones that you'll need that luck bobblehead for. Speed demon for swift. And again, the specials need their special bobblehead to go along with it. For a 1-star module, you'll need 15 modules. You'll need 30 legendary modules for a 2-star mod, and 60 legendary modules for a 3-star legendary mod. And then plus whatever you're actually going to be crafting. So if it's quad, that's a 1-star, so you'll need 15 legendary mods and then 1 fusion core in order to actually make that. So there it is right there. There's your 1-star, so you can see it on the side here where it's just 1-star, 2-star, 3-star. So that way you're aware. Number 5, any item you would like to have in the future as a 3-star, make it prior to the 3rd. Just as an example, chainsaws. If you want a 3-star chainsaw, if you roll one right now, it will cost you 4 modules. But if you wait till after the 3rd, that exact same chainsaw is going to cost you 15 modules to make it a 3-star. And this is the thing, guys, is that if you want a legendary mod, like let's say you learn how to put faster fire rate on all your ballistic weapons, like your handmaids and your fixers, but you don't have any fixers that are 3-star legendaries. You don't have any. Guess what? You gotta craft one, and then you're gonna have to spend 15 modules just to make it a 3-star. You could roll it right now, and it should cost you about 4 modules and some cores. So with this in mind, if you want like a whole set of Union Power Armor, but you don't have any crafted yet, you need to go ahead and craft it and make each piece 3-star, and then that way you'll already have those 3-stars rolled and ready to go for whenever you get those mods that you want. So just keep this in mind with anything that you've ever wanted in the game. If you have the option to build it now and to craft it, I would do so before the 3rd. Just because you'll be ready, and then you can actually switch out those mods as you need to. And you'll save some modules along the way. Number 6, because your cores are going to go extinct, Bethesda wanted to give you a chance to use them. So they gave us double script until the update goes live. Now, keeping in mind everything that I just said, if you're going to be rolling stuff and you're trying to get rid of your cores, some players are saying that it's a waste, but I mean, the cores being 1-to-1 script is already a kind of a waste if you have a ton anyway. Like I have 3,001 character. 1 3-star legendary weapon would give me 40 script, but me completing an event only gives me 1 core, and I'm going to get 1 script. So that to me is kind of a waste. You can actually take all your armor, all your stuff, roll it, and if you don't want it, you can turn it into script and then turn it back in and get more modules. So it's all going to be a matter of perspective and how you want to do things. Some players need to do both. Some players want to hold on to stuff, but just be aware that if you wait to roll 3-star weapons and 3-star armor till after, you're going to be spending a lot more. So if you don't have an item, like if you're trying to make a whole suit of power armor and you don't have a right leg that's a 3-star or whatever it is, make sure you're rolling it prior to the 3rd, because it's going to cost so many more modules that you'll really need to attach those mods, the learn mods that you are going to be getting and putting on. You'll need a ton for that. So do with the double script and cores and stuff, whatever you like, just be aware of all the things I've said already. Number 7, another thing to consider when rolling armor and weapons and such. Any items you previously crafted that automatically were legendary. For example, Secret Service armor, Thorn armor, solar armor, and similar legendaries will now be crafted as plain armor as seen here. Now, items like the medical malpractice will cost 2 modules now, like currently they cost 2 modules, and they'll cost 2 modules after the update, so there's no change there. Some of the weapons that are legendary cannot currently be crafted for testing, so we won't know about that, but if you want Secret Service armor, you should probably roll it before it goes live, again, because you'll be spending so many more modules legendary modules just to make it a 3-star. So, and it only costs a couple modules right now to roll it. So you might want to do that prior to the update. Plus, you could roll a ton of them and get a bunch of different mods or attributes or whatever that you like. Like if you want weapon weight reduction, you could roll a ton and then scrap all the ones that are weapon weight and put the other ones into the script machine. This again can be used yet again during this double script to try to maximize. Number 8, modules are now junk, so they can be placed in the scrap box, and their weight has been reduced from 0.25 to 0.15 for all those who don't have a scrap box. So all you players that don't have Fallout First, they are reducing the weight of legendary modules. But if you have Fallout First, they're now junk, so they can go right into the scrap box. Modules will be dropping from events and daily ops. If you want a breakdown on this, let me know in the comments below because there's so much in this video to cover. Number 9, Season 17 will end on the 3rd as well. And if you're grinding out past rank 150, choose your rewards wisely. As you can see, they still have cores on here to buy, even though there are messages saying they will no longer be used. Also, 100 legendary scrip is the same price as 10 modules. Now, why would you want 100 scrip when you could get 10 modules? That would be, 1,000 scrip. So make sure that you're choosing and thinking these things through. Number 10, every player should be doing this. Hoard any weapons or armor with attributes on it that you would potentially want to try to learn to make or receive a box mod for. So there's 2 different ways that you can get stuff. You can break down your armor, you can break down your weapons that are legendary, and when you break them down, you have a small chance to either get a box mod, like the mods that you buy from the train station. Like, chainsaws have a flamer box mod that you put on them. That's the only way you can do that. You go and you buy a box mod. But on the other hand, you can also break down your legendary weapons and you could possibly learn how to make that legendary attribute. So you could potentially learn how to craft quad, or you could learn how to craft weapon weight reduction or faster fire rate or any of those things. You could literally learn how to make any of those. So you need to be aware of what you're looking for. I think I might have already had a couple questions asking me about this, like what should we be looking for? If you need that, make sure just to let me know because I won't be able to cover it all here. But I do want to cover one thing, which I will get into here in just a second. But I want you to take away from this that if you're rolling stuff right now, make sure that you're watching out for the things that you want. Be aware of which legendaries that you want. What is that thing that you've always desired? What is that one piece of armor? What's that one weapon? Like, make sure you're keeping this. Like, what's that 1st star, that 2nd star, that 3rd star? Make sure you're keeping these in mind. Go vendor hopping. Go look at train stations. Go grind out expeditions to get a ton of different mods. Hopefully next Tuesday they'll give us mutated events and then we can grind through some eviction notice and get a ton of legendaries. Because let's face it, the more items you have to break down, the more likely you are to get those mods that you want on day 1. And that will get you ahead in the game. Again, if you need further explanation on this, make sure just to let me know in the comments below so that way I can make another video and cover it for you. Number 11, since we're talking about weapons, most players would agree that there are only a handful of weapon prefixes that are useful, like bloodied, anti-armor, vampires. Some of those are some of the ones that players really, really love. Now, this is going to throw a wrench in everything, and this is one that you need to be taking note of. Medics. It is possible that Medics is going to become the new powerhouse in a different type of way, and it just got really interesting and very useful. Currently, Medics offers VATS crits that will heal your group by 5%. So that's VATS crits. It is now being changed to each hit. Now, I looked for this to probably end up being nerfed, but I mean, this is really what Medics needed to kind of get it to be useful. So hopefully they'll do this with all the attributes so that way things are actually useful in the Wasteland. So if Medics interest you at all and you don't feel like going out and spending all your caps or jumping to train stations trying to find Medics in people's vendors or at the train stations or what have you, you need to invest in the medical malpractice. Now, the medical malpractice can be gotten from daily ops, and Minerva also sells it from time to time. Now, Minerva will be out starting Thursday, so make sure to stop by and see what she has because she is doing her big sale. So while we're talking about this, let's get into a couple other changes that you may want to be aware of that may help you decide which weapons that you need to roll to make 3-star or which weapons you might need to go buy plans from Minerva for or go out and try to find or what have you. So for instance, the Gauss shotgun is getting a buff from 105 to 140. Bows can be explosive again along with a slew of other weapons like the plasma gun. No flame flamers, though. You cannot have a flamer mod on it. Gat Plasma, no beam splitters, but they can be explosive. The Pepper Shaker can be explosive again. Laser guns, Assaultron heads, Gat lasers, Alien blasters, and the Plasma Caster can all be explosive again. Number 12, all weapons can now have any special attribute in them. And it's for the 3rd star. So currently you can have strength or perception, will now also have intelligence and luck. Unfortunately, intelligence and luck are not available currently on weapons, so you'll have to start farming for these after the 3rd. So make sure after the 3rd you're on the lookout for these weapons, because these are going to be very coveted plans and mods that players are going to want. So make sure that you're looking for these on weapons that you pick up after the 3rd. Number 13, this goes hand in hand with what I just said. Well, why would you want to do this? Because weapons will now receive +3 to all specials on weapons and +2 to all armor. So if you have intelligence on your armor currently, that is currently +1. But when you log in on the 3rd, they will now be +2. Same with your weapons. So if you have a chainsaw that has +1 strength, it will now be +3 strength. Number 14, speaking of intelligence, grinding the season just got a lot easier. Currently, we have the repeatable for XP to rank 100, but getting to 150 can be such a chore. Well, that's about to change. You'll now have a repeatable after rank 100 all the way to 150. That repeatable will get you 300 score for every 3 public events that you complete. Number 15, Nuka Grenades just got a nerf. So I want you guys to be aware of this because it may be a lot harder to farm XP at West Tech if you're trying to complete the scoreboard early. Number 16, new Stamp and Gold Bullion plans. So just in case you want these items but you don't have enough tickets on the scoreboard or you don't think you'll finish the season, you may want to know which items are going to be available and how to get them. I mean, I would want to know if I only have 50 tickets and I really want to buy something after rank 100, if I could just go and buy an item after the season is over with. So let's get into these real quick. Now, there are only 3 plans. The first one is the Headhunter's Scythe. It will be a stamp plan sold for 500 stamps. The Pemmican Collector will be sold by Mortimer only if you're an ally of Crater for 1,250 gold bullion. And the Scoutmaster Collectron is the 3rd one, and that will be sold by Samuel only if you're an ally of Foundation, and it is also for 1,250 gold bullion. Now, this next one is a big one, so I want you to kind of follow along with me. So this is going to be number 17. So let's get back into discussing legendary crafting and a strategy again, okay? This time we're going to actually focus on learning plans. Like I said earlier, you can break down these legendary weapons and armor to learn the legendary plans. So you can learn quad, you can learn faster fire rate, you can learn weapon weight reduction. Now, keeping that in mind, so now when you're breaking down those legendary weapons or legendary armor, you have a very small chance to learn a plan or to get a box mod, okay? Box mods are one-time use. The plans, on the other hand, you can craft over and over again as long as you have the crafting materials. When you craft them, they will be box mods which can be traded or sold. So if you learn the plan for quad, you can make the mod and then attach it to your weapons. Those weapons will be locked to your character, but the mod, on the other hand, you could make 2 or 3 of them and then sell them to other players if you want to. One other thing that you need to know is the mods will continue to weigh 1 pound. So if you got 20 of those quad box mods in your stash box, it's going to be 20 pounds. All right, keeping all this in mind, in order to increase your chances of learning the plan, not getting a box mod, learning the plan, you need to be aware of this. It is very, very important because the chance to learn a plan is so small. Anything you can do to get a leg up is going to be important. So when you're going to learn these plans, they're going to be just like any other plans. So if you have weapons, like let's say shotgun, and you want to try to break down a legendary mod, like let's say you don't want to have the shotgun, but a shotgun drops from you from eviction notice, and it's a quad faster fire rate, 25 less VATS AP cost, and you're like, man, if only that was on a fixer. Well, now it can be. So you can take that weapon and break it down. But the thing is when you break it down, it's going to break it down as a shotgun. So if you do not know all the plans for the shotgun currently, that weapon that you're breaking down, you could possibly accidentally, instead of learning one of those plans that you really want, you could learn one of the regular plans. So my suggestion to you is to go through all of your inventory and make sure that you know all of the mods for each and every weapon. that you have in your inventories. So go in and look at shotguns, the pump action shotguns. Go in and look at combat rifles. Look at all these and see if you know all the mods. If you don't, start making them and scrapping them. Now, the big thing is that armor, some of the armor mods are super hard to learn. And I mean like super hard to learn. It's actually a lower chance for you to learn the armor mods, like combat armor, for example. Some of the mods on those are 0.5% to learn them. So that is pretty low. It's 1% to learn a legendary plan. So some of those may not be worth you crafting a whole lot of. So make sure you're going and checking the wiki. But most of the weapons, you should already know all the plans. But if you're newer, you need to go through and just make sure that you aren't missing out on mods that you could easily get. Like if you have railway rifles and you just don't break down a ton of them, make sure that you know all the mods. Go through and scrap a bunch of them so that way you can learn all the mods. So that when you go and pick one up later, if it's exactly what you want, but you want the attributes on a different weapon, you can scrap it without worrying that, hey, this weapon has a quad on it, I really want that quad, and then you break it down and then you get a reflex sight or something. Just make sure that you're aware of this. I know this is a lot, guys. There is a ton of stuff. Like I said, I'll go over anything else that you guys want in a different video. Just let me know in the comments below. Now, instead of crafting a bunch of weapons or armor, basically by doing this and learning as many mods as possible already on every single weapon and every piece of armor, by doing this, your loot pool for mods will be less diluted, meaning that you will have a higher chance to learn one of those mods that you want to learn instead of something else that you really don't want to learn. If you guys are still here, I am going to give you a couple more tips after number 18, so make sure you stick around. So number 18, that groll 2-star weapon you're hoping to turn into an official 3-star groll, well, it is now possible, which is exciting because I've always wanted to add a 15 faster reload to my 2-star quad faster fire rate Tesla rifle. So here's hoping that I get that plan right off the bat. So, extra tips, number 19. Mutated party packs are going to be getting updated with some new plans and a chance to get a few rare pieces of apparel. Make sure to sub for more, as I'll be doing a video explaining how to increase your chances of getting that rare apparel to drop in the near future if you're interested. Also, number 20. You may want to start investing in caps, as you will need them for the new caravans. In order to run the maximum amount of caravans, you will end up having to pay caps for it, so make sure that you have plenty of caps on day 1 on September 3rd. Now let's go find us a wonderful super mutant head. Huge shout out to all my channel members, the Deathclaws. Without you, none of this would be possible, so thank you so much for having my back. Always watching my videos, sharing them, liking them, and all of the above. I appreciate you guys. Take care, and I'll see you in the wasteland.